What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the fifth album by Twista. Basically, this album came out in the fall of 2005 and it's called The Day After. So Twista had gotten a hit album in 2004 with Kamikaze. He kind of took like a 7-year gap between Kamikaze and Adrenaline Rush from 1997, but he resurfaced in 2004 with Kamikaze and he had a few hit songs with Kanye West, who helped produce that particular album. And Kanye was kind of blowing up in late 2003, early 2004 also. So they had a number of hits, one of which was a song with also Jamie Foxx on there called Slow Jams, which was a pretty massive hit of 2004. But Twista really dominated 2004. It's a great album. Eventually, I'm going to have to review that. But Kamikaze was definitely pretty much like a very much of a highlight of an album. And he followed it up pretty quickly with this album, The Day After, which is pretty much another hit. I mean, it at least went gold. It didn't quite go platinum like Kamikaze did, but it does. I feel like this is a pretty excellent album. It's definitely going to get a rave score, and I would have to say it doesn't have Kanye West on there this time, but it's affiliated with Pharrell. Has a ton of lady songs. I just would have to say it's pretty much pretty emphatic. Definitely bedroom boom type music. Got plenty of songs. Yeah, just two singles for the ladies that charted pretty decently, plus a whole chock full amount for that. I just would have to say that this album is pretty much like a pretty good highlight. I think this album might actually be better than Kamikaze. I'm not sure what I'm going to score Kamikaze. I know I like more than a handful of songs off that album, but I just would have to say that this is pretty much like a damn near this is a top-notch album. And that's just kind of the thing. He collaborates with old buddies like from the Do or Die days with that Johnny P. Cat, RIP to him. He's definitely a highlighted dude. And Pharrell's on here a couple times. Jamie Foxx returns for this album. Lil Kim is on here. Trey Songz does a pretty good song. That was pretty early because Trey Songz was just getting started in 2005. So this is one of the first songs I remember that had Trey Songz on it. Definitely hit. Mariah Carey is on here. Snoop Dogg's on here. I used to think Sleepy Brown was on this album, but apparently it's some cat named Sleepy Eyed Jones. Not really sure if it is Sleepy Brown or if it is Sleepy Eyed Jones, but nowadays it says Sleepy Eyed Jones. But I just would have to say Juvenile's on here, the Speed Not Mobsters on here, and Pitbull's on here. So it's a pretty good budgeted affair. And considering that some of these folks are not full blown, the thing I like about Twista is he kind of collaborates with folks sometimes before they actually blow up, and he'll actually get some hit songs when they're just kind of bubbling and stuff. Like he did that with Pitbull, who really only had one hit album to his name at the time, and Trey Songz was kind of in the early stages. And I'm trying to think of like, well, yeah, this like Jamie Foxx hadn't really put out. I mean, yeah, this is before Jamie Foxx's album, so really he had only had the hit song "Slow Jams" to his name and stuff. So there's just some good moments like that. But I just have to say, I definitely recommend this album. It's just a good taste. I mean, this is kind of a timeless album. I just would have to say, there's not too many songs that just feel rooted in 2005. Like I feel like you can still play "Girl Tonight" pretty hardcore today, and it feels just fine. And So Lonely is a nice one for a good song. So Lonely is kind of a nice relationship song that still has like its bounce towards it and has like its affinity. Hit the Floor is a pretty solid club song that was kind of overlooked. Lavish is a good hustle song. So there's just some good moments on here. Chocolate Fees and Redbones is a really smooth song that this is like a nice one that I do recommend. So that just kind of happens. So that just kind of happens to be the concept. This is, yeah, very much a timeless Twista album. Definitely one a defining work. I don't remember like what I gave like category F5 in The Perfect Storm back in 2015 when I reviewed those, but I would have to say that this, like, Twist is kind of overlooked. A lot of times he's kind of seen as like a one hit per album wonder just because Girl Tonight was the largest song on this album. It hit like number 14 or 15 on the Billboard 100, so it was a top 15 single, but the other two singles from this project just didn't do quite as well. So that's pretty much why this album basically went gold. But it's not to say these songs are bad. It's just the fact that they just didn't have the sheer ravenous kind of hit single potential of Girl Tonight. And this is kind of, I mean, they were good on like the hardcore rap charts or the rap and R&B charts, but they just didn't have like, and that's kind of the thing about this album is compared to Kamikaze, which had songs like So Sexy and Overnight Celebrity and Slow Jams and Sunshine and some of those type songs that just had multifaceted ones. I mean, I feel like Kanye West kind of helped a little bit, but then also the singles just had a little bit more marketability. But it's not to say this album's bad. I mean, really, I would have to say just get both. I mean, that just kind of happens to be a thing. That's just kind of the concept. We'll talk about it as it gets more in depth. So there were three singles on this album. There were three singles off this album. The first single was Girl Tonight featuring Trey Songz. This is a pretty excellent song. This is like a balmy ladies summer jam. Definitely like this one. Has nice sparkly kind of energy and just an overall nice tempo. Definite kind of going down tonight kind of song. Just a real nice kind of effectual one that just has a lot of summer energy. And it's just a real kind of splashy kind of song. I just would have to say it just really kind of feels like just a riveting kind of fun summer night and some of that type of stuff. I really like the production is just so kind of smooth and just kind of overall, like it's not necessarily mellow, but it just kind of has like that real kind of balmy kind of energy. I just would have to say just the kind of affair of just like having just endless kind of good summer nights as far as that kind of effectively goes. I mean, Twista really in the 2000s managed to get like a load of hit songs for the ladies, like Overnight Celebrity, Girl Tonight, uh Wetter, some of those type ones, That Girl, or like Give It Up off of Adrenaline Rush 2007. So he was doing this every single album. These are just stock ones, but this one just has like a real nice, smooth production on here. That's just a very charming one. Just has real sparkly kind of energy on here that should be very tasteful. This song was a top 15 song off the album back in 2005 and stuff. I mean, they didn't manage to follow this album. They didn't manage to follow this single up with another hit as large as this, but this is a good quality hit by Twista. I think that's overlooked nowadays. I mean, it wasn't 15, 18 years ago, but I kind of feel like nowadays it's just not a song that's really dug up that much on Twista. So when you think of Twista, most of the time people think of like Slow Jams, Overnight Celebrity, some of the songs from Kamikaze or Adrenaline Rush or something like that. But this is definitely kind of a secret Twista song just to recalibrate with and remember that it's just a pretty balmy ladies hit overall. Definite good one. Trey Songz really nails the hook. This is an early hit for Trey Songz too. The second single is Hit the Floor with Pitbull, and this is a pretty thumping one. This one's not solely for the ladies, but this is just kind of like a thumping club hopper. It's an easy hit. Definitely feel like this was a pretty simple hit and just an easy one to kind of get, and it worked. It's just an easy kind of hop and bop, just kind of effortless kind of club hit on here. Definitely has like just a hit dance club song, this kind of electro in the verses somewhat. It's kind of a thumper where it kind of has like this almost like tribal kind of feel towards it, this really kind of like Brazilian almost type feel or something like that. But then it's also gets kind of electro on there, and Pitbull really has like a ravenous hook on here. So he gets pretty hype on this song. This was an early hit for Pitbull too. So those are two folks that Twista messed with pretty immediately, was Pitbull and Trey Songz. And Pitbull basically, coming off of his 2004 album, which was kind of a bubbler, and his Lil Jon affiliation and that type of stuff, they both do well in like this electro kind of club type song. That just kind of happens to be a thing. It's just, I mean, this one kind of underperformed, but I think it's kind of an underrated kind of Twista song. I mean, if you pay attention to it, I wouldn't just say, oh, well, this song, hit like 95 on the Billboard 100 or just, I mean, it didn't chart that high, but I do feel like it's pretty effectual kind of song for just stepping out and kind of having some good club senses. I mean, this is kind of the thing just to be able to get like another club highlight from Twista, just because he didn't seem like he did club songs on Kamikaze. So this is just a good one for that kind of sense as far as stepping out and going to a dance club and that sort of thing. The third single is So Lonely with Mariah Carey, and this is one, like Mariah Carey does a pretty excellent job on the hook. It's not every day that she shows up on the hook for a rap artist. And it's not like, I mean, she affiliates with rap quite a bit, but it's just kind of the fact that it doesn't happen all the time. I think because she was a pretty massive star in the 90s and 2000s. So it's definitely it's a good look to kind of get this song. It's a very dramatic kind of relationship bop. I definitely like the energy of it. This really kind of feels like where Girl Tonight was more balmy, kind of in the midst of situations as far as that kind of go. I feel like So Lonely is kind of more almost, I want to say like long distance kind of tune. This kind of in like, I want to say that So Lonely was kind of more in a long distance kind of tune as far as that kind of went. It's just a suave follow-up song to Girl Tonight. Sensual, but it's not a ballad. I just kind of feel like as far as that kind of goes, it just kind of has like that kind of wait and be patient kind of vibe about it as far as that kind of goes with that. It is a pretty suave song, and I do feel like the fact that Twista was able to get two singles off. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this the fact that Twista was able to get two singles off the album that were oriented towards the ladies and be able to nail both of them. Now, this is another one that kind of underperformed, but it did do pretty well on Spotify. This is pretty much, I want to say, the second most popular song off the album when it comes to Spotify plays. Girl Tonight had 9 million, So Lonely had like 2.5 million, something like that. So it's just kind of underneath the impression that it is a nice one. Central song, but it's just not a ballad. So it's just good to kind of get these where Twista could have went with the ballad and had something a little bit more sluggish and just kind of really sensual. But this is kind of like a this kind of churned out kind of sensual this teaser of a song in that sort of sense. I do like the concept of that. And so there are 15 songs on this album, and out of 15, I'm going to recommend to you 12. So that's definitely a pretty good score. I'll go ahead and say that this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. But the 12 songs out of 15 I recommend would be Girl Tonight, Hit the Floor, So Lonely, Chocolate Fees and Red Bones, When I Get You Home, AIOU, Had to Call, Get It How You Live, Heartbeat, Do Wrong, I'm a Winner, Lavish, and Holding Down the Game. So I feel like a pretty mellow one that gave me a lot of vibes of like UGK was holding down the game. This definitely feels like a Texas kind of syrup sipping kind of tune. It's just a very hot day and kind of lazy kind of hot day kind of song. It's just a get buzz kind of song where you might be in your car just cruising around a little bit, but it definitely feels like a very slurred out song. Something that definitely feels like it should have had Bun B or Pimp C on there, or Paul Wall, one of those type cats. Definite kind of this blurry kind of tune, and this really has like that sleepy kind of energy. A pretty nice club hit off here is Get It How You Live. This is just like, I feel like Get It How You Live is like a flashy kind of pull up song. I used to listen to this song a bunch back in the day. Just an overall nice one. Just a nice club banger and just a G-Walk kind of song. I do feel like this one is kind of, it can be kind of a dance song. Ladies could probably dance to this one, but it really feels like a G-Walk kind of song and just kind of like a club banger and just kind of, it's just kind of a flashy song. It's one of the flashier beats on here. Twista didn't do an overabundance of songs like this. It's kind of a stunting song and like a mild flex song as far as that kind of goes. I feel like Hit the Floor and Get It How You Live are the two biggest club songs on here, but there are, I'm getting ready to say, there's a whole bunch of lady songs on here. If you notice, two of the singles were like that. I feel like a nice lady song that's not a full-blown lady song, but just kind of has that lazy off-the-wall energy is Had to Call with Snoop Dogg and Sleepy Eye Jones. Had to Call is like a real kind of, this one has like a hungover kind of beat. This really feels like if you had a bunch to drink like the night before and you're just in the after effects of dealing with women and that type of stuff. It's just a hungover kind of Waffle House type tune where you go to Waffle House in the morning, you're a little bit slurred out, still have that leftover feeling of alcohol in your system. Just that type music. It's just a mellow kind of balmy weather kind of breeziness kind of tune. It kind of has that kind of not necessarily slurred out, but just kind of blurry, just kind of this really hungover Waffle House kind of energy about it. As far as that kind of goes, it's an overall nice one. Snoop Dogg contributes to the song. It's kind of an off the wall song for Snoop Dogg to kind of be on. I'm surprised that Twista wanted Snoop to be on a song like this, just because I don't know who it probably would have been. I mean, Snoop Dogg is more of a smoker, so it just kind of feels like, I mean, I don't think the context of talking about alcohol being on the song is full blown enamored like that, but it just kind of feels like it's just the after effect of a song is saying, hey, after hooking up with the woman, and then calling them later saying you had to call them and that type of stuff as far as that kind of goes. But yeah, it's just interesting kind of get Snoop Dogg on a song like this, and the hook is pretty excellent. This Sleepy Eye Jones does a pretty good job. That's why I thought it was Sleepy Brown back in the day, is just because it sounds like something he would do. This is a very kind of sleepy kind of song. It was just an overall nice one. Chocolate Fees and Red Bones is, if you like Do or Die and if you liked Poe Pimp and some of those type vibes, this is an excellent one. Johnny P, who is deceased, R.I.P., is definitely a nice highlight on here. This is just a buttery smooth kind of song for the ladies. This really has that kind of effectual, this real kind of smooth as hell, smooth as fuck kind of vibes about it. Vintage Poe Pimp kind of vibes. Just an overall highlight. I mean, this hook is just beyond excellent. Just an overall nice one to kind of kick back to, cruise around a little bit, just kind of be on some suave shit and that type of stuff as far as kicking back and just looking fresh as hell and that sort of stuff. Definite kind of highlight for the ladies especially. Another highlight for the ladies is When I Get You Home, which has not just Jamie Foxx on there from the Slow Jams days, but also Pharrell on there. So Pharrell drops a verse at the end. This one just has a real nice hook by Jamie Foxx. Not quite as full-blown catchy as Slow Jams, but definitely another album cut highlight. This one's just kind of a comfortable living kind of ladies song. Definitely feels like you're not really struggling, you're not really having problems, things aren't patchy with the ladies, that type of stuff. This comfortable living kind of song, smooth ladies track. The hook is really great, and it just kind of has like a real nice kind of bell sounding beat on there. Just really kind of boppish kind of one. This is an overall highlight. Just appreciated that. Just Twista really had quite a few hits on here with lady songs, as you'll see, and I'll list some more of them so you just get the idea behind it. But another really strong ladies cut is Do Wrong with Lil' Kim. This one's a real nice highlight. Lil' Kim surprisingly tore this song apart. I didn't think, I mean, she is a lyricist, but she really went to town on this kind of song with as far as that kind of went. I would say that this is kind of a super ladies cut with like a kind of great mystic kind of sounding beat on here. Just really like the way that this song kind of was, I was expecting something with a little bit more maybe like club oriented type sense, but it really kind of has like this gong like beat on there that just kind of makes it sound really mystic, and it's just kind of another stock ladies chicas kind of cut as far as that kind of went. But it just kind of has like this kind of ethereal, not quite ethereal, but this kind of like hollow kind of sounding energy as far as that kind of goes on the beat. So it's just an overall nice one, but they do a good job with it. Yet another hit for the ladies is I'm a Winner. If you liked Girl Tonight, but you just want a quicker version of that, I feel like I'm a Winner is basically the song for that. It's just kind of a cousin of Girl Tonight, same type of schematic, but it's just a quick and sultry kind of pace on here. It's kind of very much in that same vibe. Twista just raps really quickly on here, does what he does, being named Twista and that type of stuff. Just the kind of variation, not quite as single ready, and the hook kind of has a sped up sample on here, so it's kind of like some chipmunk soul that like Kanye West would do and that type of stuff. It's just a good vibe with that, but this is, I think it's a good highlight. I would definitely play this as like a 1-2 punch, if not quite as immediately as playing Girl Tonight, but I would say it could kind of be in the effectualness of it to play I'm a Winner within that same session as far as that kind of goes. Just an overall kind of good similarity just to kind of get another one that Twista realized that Girl Tonight was a nice one, just to be able to do something else with it. So that's just kind of a good one. Lavish is a really nice one also. This one I used to think was a lady song. I remember this song from back in the day. It's a really nice highlight. It has Pharrell on here. Pharrell drops 2 verses on this album. So it's kind of interesting for that. But this is just kind of a plush hustle song. So it's really not a song for the ladies. It's I thought it was just about, I used to think it was a song for ladies, but it's really just a plush hustle song talking about getting up off your ass and getting some money and that type of stuff. It's a smooth song. It's kind of real plush and glamorous, but it's just not a lady song, and it just kind of has like that kind of hustle kind of vibes. It's just interesting that it just has such a effectual kind of sophisticated feeling towards it, but it's just not. It's really just trying to tell you get up and accomplish things and get up on your hustle and that sort of thing. So it's interesting for that. And yeah, I would say, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Heartbeat. So this is one, this is an overall highlight. If you like the street Twista, if you like the edgy kind of street Twista, he doesn't do a ton of these songs on here, but a definite highlight is Heartbeat. This just has an amazing hook on here, has a demonic and kind of gothic beat. This is really kind of freakishly, freak show like vibes towards it. It's a nice creeper and just has like a ghoulish hook. It's probably one of the most snaking beats on here. I feel like there definitely needed to be another song like this on this album. Twista does not commonly do songs like this, but this is almost kind of like horrorcore kind of vibes. Just how well that Twista kind of nailed this song. So this is an overall nice one. I just like a lot of the effects and the bells and whistles that went along with this song. There's like a nice little tittering kind of hook type thing at the end of this song that really adds to it also. So this is an overall nice one. So the 3 songs I didn't enjoy, which is just The Day After, the title track, Check That Hoe, and Out Here with Juvenile and Speed Not Mobster. So those songs I didn't really like. Selena Johnson, she did a hook for Kanye West with All Falls Down, but that was just a bad example. I remember thinking that song was going to be good just because Selena Johnson did good with Kanye, but it just didn't turn out that well. was kind of just a poor production, just didn't really introduce the album that well. And then Check That Hoe was trying to be like a street club song, kind of similar to Get It How You Live, but it was just a worse version of that. This was another one that didn't kick off the energy of the album real well. I feel like Twista didn't quite have as many songs for like the fellas and the homies as much as he did for like the songs for the ladies. It just didn't quite nail it as well. I feel like Get It How You Live, Hit the Floor, and Heartbeat were all good variations of that, but most of these other songs that were kind of in that orientation just didn't come off as well. Twista was just more of like a smooth cat on this album, more so than an edgy cat this time. But I would also say that Out Here, this one had a pretty poor production. I mean, this one was just kind of an awkward one that just was not very. This one was just not quite as like effectual as much as it needed to be right off the bat. It just kind of was one that took more getting used to and just didn't quite pull it off as far as being an attractive song to kind of listen to. It's too bad to waste a Juvenile feature and his buddy Speed Not Mopses, but this was a bad song to kind of have all these cats be on the song and just kind of do it. So it just didn't really have like compelling production. I would have chosen like a beat like Get It How You Live or like Hit the Floor or something like that. They just needed like a real kind of like crunchy kind of club beat or something like that. But just to kind of say, this album's still going to get a 10 out of 10. In terms of the social score, I'm going to go ahead and give this album. In terms of the social score, I'm going to go ahead and give this album like a 9 out of 10 because I feel like I would give it a 10, but I'm going to give it a 9 just because the two other singles apart from Girl Tonight kind of underperformed. I just wonder. I think it has enough energy to be able to pay attention to, but I just question the sheer degree as to how much focus that folks would probably your social circle would pay attention to it if it didn't have like the highlighted hits. It's not to say that these folks wouldn't care, but it's just kind of the concept that these are kind of more like convincing as songs to kind of say it doesn't have the immediate affability of like Girl Tonight or the songs off of Kamikaze or something like that. This is just kind of this is more of an album where you have to dig deeper and it just kind of takes more fraternizing and kind of like that type stuff as far as like yeah, it just takes a lot more fraternizing to kind of be more convincing. It's not to say it's a bad album. Me giving this album a 10 out of 10. Plenty of songs for ladies on top of that, but it doesn't have an overabundance of like songs for like the homies and just kind of in that sense. But it is, Heartbeat, Holding Down the Game, Get It How You Live, Hit the Floor. Those are some great ones to kind of smoke to, club bops, and just flashy kind of stepping out weekend kind of moments. And there are plenty of lady songs, so when you do have some bays around, it's just chock full of those. There's plenty to list, and you can pretty much pick up the tab on how many of those there truly are is plenty. So this kind of happens to be a thing. But in terms of the future, Twista's been kind of quiet recently. He dropped like an album in 2019 and he dropped an album in 2017. I'm going to have to get to some more of these, but I would have to say I'm definitely going to review Kamikaze soon. There are some other hit albums by Twista I'm going to review, but this is definitely in my eyes, this is a classic. Just pay attention to the fact that don't think that just because these hit singles didn't do as well as they should have, that this is a bad album.